Hello, everybody, and welcome back to In the Mix. Again, my name is Chris Famularo. Joining me today, another wonderful music lover, indie and ska music fan, Ryan Clayton. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Yes, I'm glad you brought up ska.
I
Look,
have to. If we're talking about music, I have to bring up your ska admiration.
we'll explain that joke eventually, but yes.
I prefer it unexplained. I think it's funnier.
Okay, fine. I'm just the ska guy
I
now.
think people like to imagine you dancing at a real Big Fish concert, just
Yeah,
losing
just
your
just
mind.
just picking it up, Bo.
All right, let's just jump right into it then. We got some music to cover. And Ryan, one of the artists that I think you were one of the first people that kind of introduced me to and got me interested in was Phoebe Bridgers. And she has had a breakout year in the year of 2020. I think you could say I believe Punisher came out not this year, but in 2019.
Nope, that was I believe April of this year or
Oh,
like May. So
all
this
right.
was that was this year.
All right, perfect. Well, Punisher, I thought Punisher was a phenomenal album. Kyoto might be one of my favorite songs of the year. And I would love to get some of your opinions and takes about the one and only Phoebe Bridgers.
Yeah, of course. So she did have a release, I believe, in 2018. This is not her first full-length album. That album had a couple of hits, but nowhere as near as popular as Punisher this year. I mean, personally, for me, like you said, Kyoto being your song, like one of your favorite songs this year. Phoebe and Punisher has been my album of the year, my artist of the year. I mean, she has been absolutely all over the place for 2020. The album personally is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It's personal. It has such powerful imagery and storytelling. It's really cool. So, actually, if we dive into the playlist, the song I picked for her was I Know the End. So, that's actually the ending track to the album. And my goodness, it is, talk about beautiful, powerful. The ending to this song is just incredible. So it starts like with these horns, they start coming in a little slow, and you start hearing the drums a little stronger. And then, man, towards the end, when everything just kind of crescendos, it absolutely gives me goosebumps every time. So
Yeah, I think she is a very creative and really just different artist, I think, for this time. And she has already collaborated with a number of different artists. I know she did a cover with Maggie Rogers. It was on the newest Kid Cudi album, which that song is a beautiful song. She is really just an up and comer. I would be surprised if she doesn't win a Grammy this year because, frankly, I think she deserves it. She's in the conversation for a couple of different awards, but I really think she does deserve at least one. Are there any other artists that have really popped out in the year 2020 for you, or maybe someone that you've revisited in this year?
oh yeah, 2020 had a lot of good stuff. Who do you call it? So a band that I always love to talk about is Chicano Batman. So this band is definitely like it's one of those bands that like I don't know if we can call them underrated or not, but like they do not get enough credit, and they are such a good band. They had an album this year called Invisible People. It was really fun. It was really funky. The band a lot of time like there's full songs where they're speaking in Spanish, which is like very interesting. It's kind of something different for your ears. They're a really great band who came out with a really great album this year.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. I think 2020, for as god awful of a year as it has been, the one thing that has really been a good staple of this year is there have been a lot of good musical releases, and I think hopefully that's something maybe soon could have something cooking on one shot where we have our potential top five albums of the year, top five artists of
Ooh.
the year, or something like that. And obviously, you'd be interested and be a part of it because you and I love talking about music. So and a good transition from that, I think, would be for us individually to look at our music rewinds of this year. While you and I do use two different streaming services, I use Apple Music and you use Spotify. I think it would be fun for the listeners to see what we were listening to, how much music we were listening to, how many different artists. So why don't we start with you? Let's break down your Spotify Wrapped.
I don't have the full Wrapped on me. I can go pull it up. I really just got the title card at the end. So you get to find out my top 5 artists, and I'll go into a little bit of them. So for my top artists, it was Group Love, who my favorite band, absolutely. They came out with an album this year called Healer. Had really just one kind of big song, which Group Love usually has. But really liked that album from them. At first, like I really didn't like get into it and stuff, but it really grew on me. That was also my top song of the year. So moving down next to my second most played artist or top artist, however they do this, Tame Impala with the Slow Rush. It actually syncs up nicely with my top songs that One More Year and Borderline were my 2 and 3 top songs this year. Of course, next, as we talked about, I had Phoebe Bridgers. Yeah, I've said enough about her. Fantastic, fantastic artist. For my fourth artist, a band I don't get to talk enough about, because, you know, besides ska and indie, there are some other artists I listen to, one of which is the punk scene, specifically folk punk. The band I have for that is Days and Days. I would say one of the best modern punk bands we have. None of their songs made it onto my top things, but they released like when that album came out, they had an album in 2013 that like really put them on the map, and people like to say it was one of their biggest albums. People were comparing this album to that, which I was like really impressed with, and I was like, wow. And I would say it's pretty close. And then another artist who I kind of found this year was Caro Bonito. I really got into her stuff, and she is 5th on my list. So I guess to finish things off, my top genre was rock. I think they just kind of, I don't know if they go with the subgenres and stuff for top genres.
I don't think Spotify is very into the subgenres. Like they'll list that you listen to so ever many different like subgenres or so many different genres, but they won't, when it comes to your top genre, it won't specify if it is a subgenre. It'll just classify it as like the classic genre.
Okay, so that's fair enough. I basically listen to rock. I'll take that. And then one interesting thing, because with some things I'm very into numbers, for minutes listened to, I had 37,300 minutes, which, if you average it out, is I listen to about 2 hours worth of music every day.
For a year, or is that, yeah?
Yeah, for a year.
So you listen to about 600 hours worth of music? Or 700 hours worth of music?
Oh, every day?
Well, for the
Wait,
year.
what?
You
No.
said 2 hours of music every day for a year.
Yes.
So you just do 365 times 2.
Yeah, basically, yes.
So it would be like 730 hours of music.
Yes.
See, it's funny because Apple Music does things a little bit differently. Theirs is called an Apple Replay or Apple Music Replay. And they actually just put it all into like a playlist, but they still do break it down. So in my timeline of music for this year, I listened to 506 hours worth of music. So about 200 hours less than you. So I guess I'll start with my top artists this year. I listened to so many new artists this year. I think that was one of the things this year specifically. I found so many new artists, so many new different genres of music, new things I enjoyed, new things I was surprised that I enjoy. I actually listened to 922 different artists this year, which
Whoa.
I am very happy with, very surprised that I actually got up that high. But this will be no surprise what my top 5 are. Coming in at number 1 handily is Joji, of course, the man, the myth, the magical wonder that he is. I listened to almost twice as much Joji as I did the very next person, and the next person was The Weeknd.
Wow. Oh my gosh, and especially with such like a big release from The Weeknd. Wow, that is impressive.
Especially for the fact that I would put The Weeknd's album in my album of the year.
Yeah.
Immediately after The Weeknd is Mac Miller. I have grown so much on Mac Miller since Swimming came out back in, I believe, 2018. I was hit very hard by his passing, and that made me just want to listen to his music even more. And Circles came out in January of 2020, and I fell in love with it. I thought it wasn't even a completed album, and it was beautiful. It
Yeah.
has one of the most beautiful songs on it, and I think it is just incredible. It's an incredible job to the people who finished that album for Mac. It's an incredible performance by him for something that was only in the works. It wasn't polished or anything like that. Very happy that I will continue listening to Mac Miller. Immediately after Mac Miller is Flume. So he is easily another one of my top favorite artists of all time, easily my favorite electronic artist. Listened to him for 22 hours. And finishing out the list is a new artist that I found this year, Enzo, who is also an electronic artist. I listened to Enzo so much it like surprised me because it was one thing. I don't know how you are, Ryan. I know you do enjoy playing a lot of video games, but I listened to Enzo when I was just playing Rocket League. Like it was this perfect mix of electronic music that helped me, I feel like, play better during my competitive games. I felt more in tune, and it's just a good, fun electronic time. So after that, I will go into my albums. So this is really not going to be surprising. I just updated this today. So it is including some of the very new stuff and recent stuff that I've been listening to. And I am pointing that out because there's a very interesting addition at number 3.
Okay.
So number 1 is Nectar by Joji. Not surprising. I listened to it for 2 months straight. I listened to it from September, whenever they hit release in September, until the end of November. It's so good. I love it. It's just a phenomenal time. I am kind of embarrassed to say how many times I listened to the whole album, but I'll say it anyway. I listened to it 591 times.
Oh, wow.
The whole album. The whole album.
Okay.
So after that, no surprise, After Hours, the deluxe edition by The Weeknd, 216 plays, and coming in very weird at number 3, Loop Daddy 3 by Marc Rebier. And if you are unaware who Marc Rebier is, he is a bit of an internet sensation at the time. He is a looper, so he does electronically produced tracks, but he also has jazz influences and funk influences and soul and R&B influences.
Oh.
And he just ad-libs over these loops.
Oh, wow.
And some of the songs are beautiful, like the song Thankful in Loop Daddy 3, and then there's some of them that are just bonkers crazy, like I'm a Flamingo. And they're so much fun. And I'll just wrap out my top 5. Number 4 was What Could Possibly Go Wrong by Dominic Fike. He was another new artist that I found this year, and I enjoyed that album a lot. It's a little bit not as good as when I first found it, but it is still a very enjoyable listen. And coming in at number 5 is Circles by Mac Miller. No more that needs to be said there. It is just, it's a good album, and I think everybody should at least listen to it if you enjoy some form of hip hop or R&B. Yeah. And I won't go into songs that much. I'll just go into my number 1, which was Run by Joji, which didn't even come out. It didn't even come out this year. It came out. It came out in. No, maybe it did. Maybe it came out in February. All right. Well, never mind. I listened to Run 105 times. So.
Wow. Okay.
When it was just a single. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so that is my year in music. If you can't tell, I love electronic music and R&B. And if you can't tell, Ryan loves indie and folk and ska.
Folk punk.
Folk punk. Sorry, folk punk. Well, I think that was definitely interesting, and I'd be interested to see other people like Olivia Klein's rewind. I'd be interested to see Tommy's replay. I'd be interested to see Christian Gardner's, Ben Harris's. Who knows? Maybe it'll be a thing. Ryan, we've gone over some interesting artists like Phoebe Bridgers. We have talked about our rewinds and our replays and our zabdi-zoozahs of music. Let's get into your playlist that you have brought us for In the Mix. I am very interested to see of the hour or so of music that you have curated for our listeners.
Yeah, so starting right off the bat, we go with Kesabe Nights by Streetlight Manifesto. Are you familiar with them?
I have listened to Streetlight Manifesto. They're also a very well-known New Jersey band.
Yeah, also a ska band. Had to throw that joke in there. So I structured this playlist. I had a lot of fun with this. I love making playlists. So I structured this into kind of three different parts. So I start with what I like to call my Fab Five for indie. It's just my top artists, my top five artists as of now, December 2020. My five favorite artists. Starting with Group Love, great mix of sounds, loud, heavy, soft, really intimate stuff. It's tough picking your favorite song of your favorite band, but I went with Lovely Cup. It's a song that just makes me feel really warm and happy. So moving on next, we got Tame Impala, no intro necessary, one-man band, Kevin Parker. It's indie music with elements of dance and psychedelic. The song I picked out is Yes, I'm Changing. This song is so cool. It has this part in the song where like these cars are beeping and you kind of get like a city vibe and stuff. The imagery, like the image I kind of create and probably other people's create with like the cars and the city and stuff is really beautiful and nothing I had ever heard like on a song before. Moving on next, we got Vampire Weekend. They were one of those bands for me that like, I had known their stuff, I had enjoyed their stuff, but it wasn't until their 2018 release, Father of the Bride, that I absolutely fell in love with them. The song I picked out is Spring Snow, which is very appropriate because at the time of this recording, it is currently snowing. So this song is about, you can look at it a lot of different ways, but it's kind of a breakup song or you're losing someone, long distance kind of stuff. It's a really like heartfelt song. One of the most, a lyric I really like from this is he says, Ezra, the singer, says something like, "Here comes the sun, those toxic old rays." And, Here Comes the Sun is like one of the most beautiful songs of all time, but he kind of twists it and saying like, oh man, like those toxic old rays, like, because the snow's melting and this person can leave now. So really like that song. Next up, we got Two Door Cinema Club. Really upbeat band. Their songs just really make you want to get up and dance. The song I picked out is called You're Not Stubborn. And it has been the soundtrack to my life of getting something done. So finishing a day, it could be like finishing a day of work or a semester-long project. Really love that one from Two Door Cinema Club. Finishing off my top five is MGMT, a strange but beautiful band. They don't make music, well, not anymore. They don't make music for the masses. They make it for themselves. Recently this year, oh no, that was, I think last year or like the start of this year, they got off their record label and are officially under MGMT Records. So they are producing all their own stuff, which I think is very indie. They're very fun live, very, very unique band. Song I went with was Little Dark Age. I would say it's one of their most popular songs. Really loved that whole album, The Little Dark Age. And that was just one of my favorite songs from it. So, okay, so yeah, next moving on, we have songs from this year. I, of course, leave off with I Know the End by Phoebe Bridgers. Already talked about that one. Great, great song. We got next song of the year, album of the year, artist, whatever. We got Tame Impala. His album, The Slow Rush, was so great. It's pop, dance music. The song that I picked was really fits this year, I think, pretty well. It's called On Track. It's a really like personal and sentimental song. You have lyrics in there about like not really going for it, not much to show for it. I mean, it's personal, but it is strong. Really great one. Next up, we have Group Love. Talked about that album a little bit already. Didn't love it at first, but man, this album just grew on me. The song I picked out is their most popular. It's the title track and their most popular song this year. It's It's called Deleter. It's a very interesting idea for a song, and it's kind of a risk in a way. So what Deleter is it's describing a person. So someone who is stuck online with technology, not being really in reality. I think that's such a risk because like that kind of song could be like so preachy and so like ugh, like older people kind of like stuff. But I mean, it's a great song. So I really loved that. We got Two Door Cinema Club releasing kind of not a full album, but they had Lost Songs Found, which is a fun title to say B-sides. The song I picked out was Too Much Coffee. I really like this one. Again, dancey elements, really fun, has a really fun backbeat to it. Yeah. Chicano Batman comes up next for one of my favorites. What do I want to say that I haven't said about them? Yeah, really funky. For the song I picked out, it's called Color of My Life. Believe it's the intro track and stuff. Really nice one. The use of keys on this album is really impressive. It creates such a great melody. Next up, we have Fiona Apple, who was everywhere this year. Her album Fetch the Bolt Cutters earned the first like 10 out of 10 for Pitchfork, which is like a music reviewing outlet. It's a good album. I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10, but it's a really good album. I picked out Drum Set for the song. She's been doing this since the 90s and came back super strong. So Drum Set, I think, is the best representation of the album. It's got strong vocals and just really catchy and simple hooks that makes for a very good song. And to finish off the playlist, a very interesting entry that I would never consider indie, but here we are in 2020, Taylor Swift and Folklore. So this is a semi-indie album. She worked with a lot of indie artists like Jack Antonoff, who's a very famous producer. And she also worked with Bon Iver on a song, who is just one of the best indie writers out there. The song I picked is Exile with Bon Iver. Again, I talked about the keys for Chicano Batman, but the keys are amazing on this, and it works perfect with their vocals. And to close off the playlist, I've got some holiday indie songs because we are only, by the time this comes out, we're only a couple days away from Christmas. So the songs I got picked out for you are Best Coast's cover of Little Saint Nick from the Beach Boys. I really like this one because it's like more upbeat. Her vocals are awesome. It really flows a lot nicer than the original. Not to take aim at the original, but it's a really nice one. For the second time on this playlist, we got Phoebe Bridgers, who released a mini Christmas album. The song I went with is Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I like this one so much because it shows off her vocals so well. It's got this simple guitar, and she really just makes it her own, which you want from a cover. Finally, the last song on here for the third time on this playlist, we have Group Love, who released a song called A Group Love Christmas. It is again, kind of how I talked with Phoebe, a simple song. It's a stripped down song. It's really only Hannah Hooper, their female lead singer. It's her vocals with a piano. And really, it's just a story of wanting to get home to someone for Christmas and really doing kind of like whatever it takes to get home. So that's my playlist. I hope you enjoy it. There's a lot of different stuff on here that I hope you check out.
Yeah, I'm sure plenty of people will. You got a good variety, and I like how you sectioned it off between, specifically indie, and then you have your songs of the year, and then you also have a little bit of holiday cheer at the end there.
Yeah.
I love it. I will make sure that everybody will be able to, see and read and understand all the artists and their songs. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on. This was a lot of fun. I know you and I will be talking more music in the future. I think this will probably become semi-normal thing, maybe with some other people potentially. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you to all of you for watching. Please remember to subscribe to One Shot Entertainment. Please check out any of our other videos. We have been cranking them out here, myself in particular, but everybody here has been doing a really phenomenal job. Go check out the podcast, the One Shot Entertainment podcast. Go check out Shooters Gallery. Go listen to some music, because now is the time to be doing it. All time of the year, it's time to listen to music, but right now is a very good time. Escape some of that holiday music. You listen to the same stuff every year. Listen to some new stuff. Listen to Ryan's picks.
I gave you, yeah.
Exactly. All right, Ryan, thank you again so much. I will be checking out some of the songs you showed us. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you have a great rest of your day too. Thank you.